The night loyalty was tested. The palace corridor carried the hush of history. Every step echoed softly across marble floors polished by generations of servants who would never be remembered by name, yet whose work made royalty shine. Captain Adrian Hale noticed details most people missed. The faint tremor in chandeliers when doors closed too hard. The shift in tone when laughter at royal dinners became forced. The pauses, those dangerous, political pauses, where words weren't spoken but wars were quietly started. Tonight the air felt wrong. Prince William walked 3 steps ahead, hands clasped behind his back, posture perfect. But tension radiated from him like heat from a furnace. Adrian had protected the prince for nearly a decade. He had seen him during public triumphs, during private grief, during moments where cameras captured smiles, while reality demanded strength. But tonight? Tonight was different. The dinner had started normally. Crystal glasses, soft violin music, carefully rehearsed conversation about charities, diplomacy, and future engagements. Then came Daniel, Camilla's son. Educated, polished, charming when needed. But Adrian had never trusted men who smiled without warmth in their eyes. Daniel spoke about modernizing legacy systems. At first, it sounded like harmless political talk. Then he shifted. Institutions must adapt, Daniel said, swirling his wine slowly. Even succession structures must be resilient. The table went quiet. Prince William stayed calm. He always did. Years of training. Years of living under lenses and expectations. But Adrian saw the micro-expression, the tightening of William's jaw. Then Daniel said something that changed everything. Sometimes loyalty deserves reward. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It was worse. It was calculated. King Charles had gone silent. Catherine reached for William's hand beneath the table. Princess and set down her fork with a sharp, metallic clink. And Camilla? She touched Daniel's sleeve, briefly. Warning? Support? Fear? Adrian couldn't tell. But he knew one thing. The room had crossed from family tension into political danger. William stood. No announcement. No confrontation. Just dignity. Adrian followed instantly. That was the hidden network. The storm didn't stop. Rain crawled down palace windows like slow-moving shadows, turning the outside world into a blurred watercolor of lights and darkness. Captain Adrian Hale stood in Prince William's private office long after midnight, replaying the anonymous message in his mind. Trust no one inside council structure. 3 people knew that secure channel existed. Adrian, Prince William, and the late head of Royal Digital Security, who had passed away 2 years earlier. Which meant one terrifying possibility. Someone had inherited secrets they were never meant to have. William sat behind his desk, reading through briefing papers he clearly wasn't absorbing. You don't believe this is just Daniel acting alone, Adrian said quietly. William shook his head. No. He doesn't have the patience for something this layered. William stood and walked toward the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II hanging across the room. She used to say the most dangerous threats aren't loud, he said softly. They're polite, professional, invisible. Adrian nodded. And well-connected, he added. The first move had to be silence. No official investigations. No internal accusations. No security alerts logged into palace systems. If someone was monitoring internal channels, then every formal move would only warn them. So Adrian did something almost no royal guard captain had done in modern times. He went offline. At 2:10 a.m., Adrian activated a legacy security protocol. Analog-backed. Pre-digital era redundancy system. It required physical verification at 3 separate locations inside the palace. Something impossible to fake digitally. He called only 2 people. People he trusted with his life. Sergeant Lena Torres, palace physical security specialist. And retired intelligence liaison Marcus Ellery, unofficial advisor William trusted since his teenage years. They met in a service corridor beneath the east wing. Fluorescent lights flickered. Pipes hummed overhead. Lena crossed her arms. If you called me off-grid, something's wrong, she said. Adrian nodded. Possible internal narrative manipulation operation, he said. Marcus sighed slowly. I was hoping you wouldn't say that. They moved to a storage archive room converted decades ago into emergency coordination space. No smart tech. No microphones. No network access. Just concrete paper files and silence. Adrian explained everything. Dinner tension. Legal framework documents. Anonymous message. When he finished, nobody spoke for several seconds. Then Marcus said something that changed everything. This isn't succession removal, Marcus said. Adrian frowned. What is it then? Marcus looked at William. It's reputation collapse preparation. William leaned forward. Explain. Marcus folded his hands. If you can't legally remove someone, you make the public accept their removal. Silence again. They're building a story, Marcus continued. Concerned insiders. Quiet leaks. Whisper campaigns. Lena exhaled slowly. And once the public doubts him. Then transition looks like stability, Marcus finished. Adrian felt anger rise again. Controlled. Focused. Who would have access to council-level narrative shaping? He asked. Marcus didn't answer immediately. Then he said one word. Advisors. William closed his eyes briefly. There are over 20, he said. Not all equal, Marcus replied. He pulled out a folded paper list. Start with anyone connected to external media consulting, legacy reputation management, or crisis succession planning. Adrian scanned the names. 3 stood out. One especially. Lord Harrington. Senior Continuity Advisor. 30 years palace service. Known for calm crisis handling. Also known for extremely close working relationship with Daniel. Can we prove connection? Lena asked. Marcus shook his head. Not yet. William spoke quietly. What's the next move? Adrian answered immediately. We don't confront. Marcus nodded approvingly. We observe. Meanwhile across London, Daniel sat inside a private members' club lounge. Low light. Quiet jazz. Expensive silence. The public trap. The palace woke to sunlight. But inside the walls, tension moved like an invisible current. Captain Adrian Hale stood in the observation gallery overlooking the central courtyard as staff began their morning routines. Everything looked normal. That was the problem. Because when danger hides inside normality, it becomes almost impossible to detect. Behind him, Prince William adjusted his jacket, preparing for the day's public schedule. 3 charity visits. 1 diplomatic briefing. 1 live televised foundation announcement. Perfect opportunities. If someone wanted to build a public narrative. Today will matter, William said quietly. Adrian nodded. Yes, sir. William turned. If they're building public perception, they'll push for something visible. Adrian had reached the same conclusion hours earlier. And he had already started preparing. The plan was simple. Not to stop the trap, but to let it reveal itself. By mid-morning, subtle anomalies started appearing. A last-minute media schedule adjustment. An unexpected addition to the press pool. 2 advisory staff requesting direct access to briefing notes. Nothing individually suspicious. Together? Very suspicious. Sergeant Lena Torres updated Adrian through their secure offline channel. Unusual advisor movement confirmed. Harrington requested emergency briefing room reservation. Adrian replied. What? Continue observation. At 11:40 a.m., William stepped onto the stage of the Royal Community Innovation Foundation Hall. Cameras flashed. Crowds applauded. He smiled, warm, composed, confident. But Adrian noticed something else. Daniel was there. Not scheduled. Standing near the back with 2 media consultants. Watching. Waiting. William began his speech. Steady. Calm. Precise. Then halfway through he paused. Just for 2 seconds. Looked down at his notes. Then continued. Tiny. Human. But Adrian saw Daniel lean toward one of the consultants. Whisper something. The consultant immediately texted someone. Hook taken. Then came phase 2 of William's strategy. During Q&A, William answered every question perfectly, except one. A question about future institutional modernization pressures. William paused. Not confused. Not panicked. Just thoughtful. Careful. Measured. Leadership, William said slowly, is not about perfection. It's about responsibility. And responsibility means knowing when to ask for support. The room stayed silent. Then applause. Public reaction, positive. Narrative builders' reaction, opportunity. By afternoon, Lena confirmed 3 media outlets had requested background briefings about royal workload stress. Fast. Too fast. Pre-written narrative hooks. Back at the palace, Marcus Ellery spread printed intelligence across the archive table. They're accelerating, he said. Why? Adrian asked. Marcus tapped one document. Because something is forcing their timeline. William entered the room. They're scared, he said simply. Adrian frowned. Of what? William placed a folder on the table. Inside were historical council restructured drafts. Old ones. Decades old. Marcus read the header. Then looked up sharply. "They don't know you have these?" Marcus said. William nodded. "My grandmother kept records of every internal power play attempt." Silence. Heavy. Historic. That evening, Daniel received a message. "Proceed to stage public concern." Window opening. He stared at the words. Then typed back. "Understood." At 7:15 p.m., a political commentator posted an article. Should modern monarchies re-evaluate leadership workload structures? Not accusatory. Not direct. Just suggestive. Perfect narrative seed. Inside palace walls, Adrian felt the shift. It was starting. The public trap. Not to destroy William overnight, but to create a slow erosion of certainty. At 8:30 p.m., William and Adrian walked through the West Garden paths. Private. Quiet. Dark except for pathway lights. "Do you trust me, Adrian?" William asked suddenly. "With my life, sir." William nodded. "Then tomorrow, we reverse the trap." Adrian stopped walking. "How?" William looked out toward the dark horizon. "By making them believe I'm vulnerable enough." The night of exposure. The morning arrived too quietly. No storm. No rain. Just a cold, pale London sky stretching across palace rooftops like a held breath. Captain Adrian Hale had learned long ago that the most dangerous days were not loud ones. They were calm ones. Because calm meant plans were already in motion. At 6:10 a.m., Adrian finished his physical perimeter walk himself, something far below his rank now but necessary. He trusted his team. But today wasn't about distrust. It was about certainty. Every entrance logged manually. Every camera angle verified physically. Every blind spot double-checked. Because if today was the day the trap closed, then today was also the day the hunters would step forward. Inside the palace private briefing room, Prince William stood reviewing morning reports. Not sitting. Standing. Ready. Focused. Calm in a way Adrian recognized. Not the calm of comfort. The calm of decision. "You slept?" Adrian asked quietly. "Enough," William replied. That was royal language for not really. At 7 a.m., the first signal appeared. A national morning program ran a segment. Royal leadership pressures in the modern era? Are expectations too high? No accusations. No names. But carefully structured examples. Grief history references. Family pressure references. Leadership fatigue examples. It was subtle. Professional. Designed to sound compassionate. Which made it more dangerous. By 8:30 a.m., 3 more outlets had picked up similar angles. Marcus Ellery arrived carrying printed transcripts. "They've coordinated release windows," he said. Adrian nodded. "Stage public concern," he said quietly. William didn't look surprised. "They think today is escalation," William said. At 10:15 a.m., phase response began. William announced an unscheduled public appearance. Not at a government function. Not at a political event. At a children's mental wellness foundation he had supported privately for years. The move confused observers. Media scrambled. Advisors panicked quietly. And Daniel? Daniel rushed to attend. Exactly as William expected. The foundation hall was bright, warm, human. Children's artwork lined the walls. Parents filled the seats. Real people. Real lives. No palace filters. William spoke openly. Not defensively. Not politically. Honestly. About pressure. About responsibility. About asking for support being strength, not weakness. The room gave him a standing ovation. Genuine. Unscripted. Powerful. Backstage, Daniel approached. "Powerful speech," Daniel said smoothly. William smiled politely. "Truth usually is." Daniel's eyes sharpened slightly. "You're handling pressure well," Daniel said. William tilted his head slightly. "I've had good teachers." Daniel walked away. But Adrian saw it. For the first time. Daniel looked uncertain. At 2:40 p.m., Lena sent an urgent signal. Confirmed, Harrington initiated restricted archive access. Adrian's heart rate increased slightly. "They're looking for something," he told William. William nodded. "They're trying to verify what I know." Marcus spoke quietly. "Then it's time." That evening, William authorized a controlled internal council meeting. Attendance mandatory. Including Harrington. Including Daniel, as external advisory observer. The room filled slowly. Polite smiles. Professional posture. Controlled tension. William stood. "Before we begin," he said calmly, I want to review historical continuity case studies. Harrington stiffened slightly. Adrian noticed. William activated a projector. Displayed archived documents. Old attempts. Old manipulations. Old internal narrative shaping efforts. All documented. All recorded. All failed. Silence filled the room. Then William said calmly, "My grandmother believed transparency inside leadership prevents manipulation." His eyes scanned the room, landing briefly on Harrington. Then Daniel. Then William placed one final document on screen. Recent draft narrative language. Unreleased. Identical to wording circulating in early media segments that morning. The room froze. Harrington spoke first. "That document is internal research only." William raised one hand calmly. "No," William said quietly. "It is coordinated perception positioning." Adrian watched Daniel carefully. Daniel wasn't shocked, but he was calculating, which confirmed everything. Then something unexpected happened. One council member, the crown secured. London slept under a silver winter moon. But inside palace walls, history was still awake. Captain Adrian Hale stood alone in the East Security Corridor at 1:12 a.m., rereading the anonymous message on his secure device. "You're getting closer." Not a threat. Not a warning. A signal. Someone inside the system wanted the truth exposed. The question was, why now? 4 days after Harrington's removal from active advisory duty, the palace atmosphere had shifted. Quieter. Careful. Polite conversations masking nervous calculations. Because everyone understood one thing now. If Harrington was only a piece, then the real architect was still hidden. Prince William refused to celebrate early, which Adrian respected. Victory inside power structures was never final until silence replaced whispers. At 7:45 a.m., Lena Torres rushed into the archive room holding printed communication logs. "I found it," she said. Adrian stood instantly. "What?" She dropped the pages on the table. Cross-referenced Harrington's last 6 months of physical archive access. Marcus leaned closer, then froze. Because one name appeared repeatedly in cross-authorization chains. Not publicly visible. Not politically loud. But incredibly powerful. Sir Malcolm Vire. Senior Crown Financial Continuity Director. 35 years inside Royal Infrastructure Oversight. The man who helped protect royal financial independence during multiple global crises. The man everyone trusted. Marcus exhaled slowly. "That is a problem." William studied the name silently. Then said quietly, "Or, the solution." Adrian frowned. William looked up. "If he's behind this, he didn't do it for ego." Marcus nodded slowly. "Then we find motive." By afternoon, Lena uncovered encrypted scheduling overlaps between Vire and Harrington. Private. Off calendar. Always short meetings. Always late evening. At 5:20 p.m., Adrian made the call. He requested a private security consultation meeting with Vire. Not accusatory. Not suspicious. Professional. Routine. Sir Malcolm Vire arrived at 7 p.m. sharp. Calm. Immaculate. Controlled. The kind of man who had survived decades inside systems that destroyed weaker personalities. They met in the same analog archive room. No digital monitoring. No palace network logging. Just truth or lies. Vire sat down calmly. "You know," he said, "I wondered how long it would take you." Adrian didn't speak. William stepped forward. "Why?" William asked quietly. Vire studied him for a long moment, then spoke. "Because I believed you would destroy stability." Silence. Heavy. Historic. "You thought I would erase my father's legacy," William said. Vire nodded slowly. "I saw the public anger. The historical resentment. The emotional narratives around your childhood. I believed you would lead with heart instead of structure." William absorbed that quietly, then said, "You tried to remove me?" Vire shook his head. "No." Pause. "I tried to prepare alternatives, if you failed." Adrian watched closely. This was not a villain speech. This was fear. Old system fear. Fear of instability. Fear of change. "You used Daniel," William said. "Yes." "You used Harrington." "Yes." "You built public perception groundwork." "Yes." William nodded slowly, then said something that surprised everyone. "You should have talked to me." Vire blinked. Just once. And in that moment, decades of control cracked. "I didn't trust emotion," Vire said quietly. William stepped closer. "Emotion built loyalty to this institution," William said. "Not fear." Not manipulation. Loyalty. Silence filled the room again. Then Vire exhaled slowly. I misjudged you. No shouting. No arrest. No dramatic collapse. Just truth. Vire agreed to step down quietly into advisory retirement. Official reason. Strategic restructuring transition. Daniel lost influence instantly once Vire withdrew support. Harrington formally retired. Publicly, nothing dramatic.